later we can just
What year were you born? 50?
There will be a glitch coming out of.
Well, I'm coming up in 2 weeks after that.
Don't get excited, we still got 5 minutes.
I'll take it out.
Thank you. Birthday.
The Deadhead? You check their ice cream? So Steve's coming over.
No.
Oh, sorry,
Jerry
Steve.
Garcia, my
Yeah,
man
both.
Jerry Garcia.
Oh, it's definitely. Hey, needless to say, because remember I mentioned about the dissertation, the 3 months to something no matter what it costs. I didn't care. I go through my credit card. I did it. Went out. Yes, and I thought of that page 5 from my video. And it was yesterday. I looked through it.
I really like this one.
Thank you. Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
Love it there.
You know, I was thinking
Gabrielle is still Rebecca's going to save me $20,000.
Oh, that's a
She's
good
going
one.
for business.
No, no, it's
Bill
not.
is here tonight.
It's only mine for the
Trina's in Florida now. She got there 2 days after I left. I didn't want to leave her, but then said I have to give it to her. Mom's getting a knee replacement. Well, she's so crippled she can't walk her steps with her. The knee replacement. So she's a knee replacement. She's completely housebound. It's bone on bone. She can't take more than 2 or 3 steps. You know, it's like
They got
apparently very well. They go through your 2 bones, and then there's a whole Teflon in the middle.
There was one who said to heal up. There was one who said, you know,
But my mother said it's that or like
one guy was just like What's it from? Arthritis?
Can we get a couple of these for the lodge crowd?
See that back used to Yeah. The new thing my mom got when they injected into the joint, it stopped the pain. Yeah, she also they injected stuff. They injected this stuff directly into the joint. No pain. No, they take a needle and they're very careful to inject right into the joint. It's something which I don't know what it does.
Into a soft.
Permanently, she hasn't had it. She's had it for years and it's like it's a new thing. It's Harvard. Injected it in, and she said, that pain, you won't ever have it anymore. You have pain. I don't know what it is, but just get it.
Yeah, right.
She was like, it's an ice pick. It wasn't an ice
Right. Lightning struck.
The bus just went
JR and Jim, Big Jim.
Yeah, she's working with
No, it's not a baggage anymore. It's just dishes.
Come on, get through with him. You're holding up the show. Yes, about it. 59.
I'll just have Dennis go ahead and play the
Yeah. One song anyway.
I'll probably leave it. You gotta go to a public place. That's why I moved down here, because all this.
You can tell Sarmati you're ready to go.
That's why I moved out here for the MSW program. I went for a year. I have to have a CE for
You guys want to make a little bit of room so Gwen can get through to get to the piano in a couple of minutes? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the San Francisco Lodge of the Theosophical Society. The Theosophical Society was organized in New York November 17, 1875, and has three avowed objects: to form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or color; to encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy, and science; and to investigate the unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. This evening, our speaker is Joe Miller, and the title of his talk is Love. Let's give him a hand. But before we turn Joe loose, I'd like to ask his beautiful wife, Gwen, to play some meditation music for us.
Heart of my heart, the greater part of me, I thought I could not bear the pain of separation from thee, but now I see only thee in multiplicity, for thou art everywhere. It is enough to know, to be. Tonight, you got the white light on you. All right? Normally, you can stay back in your cocoons and nobody knows who the hell you are. But right now, tonight, that white light is shining on you. And I'm going to talk about the white light. Because to me, the white light is pure love. Pure love. In other words, it's kind of like a Super Bowl of love. When your love is a feeling, it covers everything. Everything you know. This doesn't deny you any human love you may have otherwise, and your responsibility to that human love. But I want to get into it deeper. I want you to understand at least what little I've been able to dig. And the idea is that I don't know it all by a long shot. But I can give you the benefit of how I feel about it. That's the thing that makes the whole world go round. Call it white life, call it light, call it life, call it beauty. These are all in that one part that's within all of us. I'm glad the bright light is on tonight, although I don't know why I should be in the spotlight. I quit that years ago. Of course, I never had such a distinguished audience listening to me, and that's quite unusual. Because those that I had listening to me were not interested in the particular things you are. Because if you weren't interested in love in its very essence, you wouldn't be here. If you're looking at an alibi, look for an alibi to sneak out of your present responsibility, forget it. I haven't got anything to say to help you to do that. Love is love. Pure love. But pure love, you're not trying to get anything. You're not trying to hold anything exclusively. If the other person loves you and it's going out to you enough and it's going out to her, love is a wonderful thing at the point that everybody meets it, whether to be married or not to be married. That's the question. Most men don't particularly want the responsibility of a family, so they run away from it as a rule up to a certain point where their foot slips and then they can't help themselves. Now, if your foot hasn't slipped, you've been missing an awful lot. Because you have a chance to play the part of God to those little ones that you bring in, those egos that you bring in. Remember, they're not yours. You don't own them. You just happen to be a good vehicle for them to get here. And don't think that you keep them under your thumb all your life. In the old days, I've met many ladies beyond the middle-age spot who said, well, I am devoted to my mother. It was because their mother kept them under a thumb like that. You've all got your own lives to live. And if it is pure devotion for your mother, that's good. Pure devotion is pure love. Devotion to whoever may be your idea of an anthropomorphic God, a human figure that walked on earth, that represent all of the finest things you could conceive of in your consciousness. If you wish to make that person, that particular avatar, the one that you surrender to, that's wonderful. In theosophy, you can surrender or not surrender. That's up to you. Theosophy shows a way that by getting to your higher mind, by disciplining yourself in your thinking, you can get to the place, and that's called Nani. I'm not speaking Nani tonight. I'm speaking pure love. And pure love will get you there. Even if it's love for a lesser individual than one of the great ones. Because the very purity of your love will purify your mind as well. Or if you take the mind trip, you've got to work with it gradually and bring it down. Sooner or later you have both the mind and the heart. But the heart is a way that is offered to you by Sufism. Because if you can let your mind drop into your heart to that extent, that you measure everything by the amount of pure love that's coming out of you, then you're following the rule that a gentleman spoke about not too long ago, called acceptance of life, where you are. Accept what you are, and be who you are and what you are. But that complete love for everyone. We all say that we're all a part of the one. But how do you know you're part of the one? How do you know it? You want me to give you a few scientific explanations to prove you're part of the one? Nobody that I know of that is alive at this level can live without breath. And we don't keep track of the number of breaths we breathe during the night and during the day. We can assume with the breath, and that's one of the places where the word Brahman came from, breath. Without breath, we aren't here. This particular manifestation is eliminated. The breathing in and breathing out. And there's things in the East that teach you that in your breathing in and breathing out, that you can put yourself on a discipline so that if every breath you breathe in is on a ha, and what you breathe out is a sa, a hamsa. And that's that famous bird that flies. And you should know that your breath influences your thinking. Nobody can stop breathing and still think with any coherence for any great length of time. So when you're angry, you can slow down your breath. And when you slow down your breath to a normal breathing, you're not angry any longer. You say, what did I do that silly thing for? I don't have to be mad. Next time you get real mad, put your hand on your chest and feel and see how you're breathing. Hyperventilating is what they call it, I believe, in the medical profession, when they're breathing real fast and can't stop from breathing and get more or less hypnotized by it. And then occasionally people throw a fit, an anger fit. After all, in the good book it says, be still and know that I am is God. The I am within you. We are all parts of that one fabulous flame that is the reality. That spiritual flame, sparks in that one flame. There isn't a person here or a person walking the earth that isn't immortal. But how are they learning their lessons here? Or how much of the lessons are they learning? And each one of you is a judge for yourself, what you wish to change or not change in your living. So you're in the white light tonight, so I'm telling. But the Super Bowl of love is to slide into that pale place where you just love everyone with that great compassion. Even if they're an enemy of yours. And an attitude that you might have is whoever they are, whatever they're doing, that within them is that same immortal spark that is within you. And the parts you're playing in this lifetime, if you want better parts in a future lifetime, what the hell, you better go to work at it, hadn't you? Straighten up and fly right a little bit. You know, as far as boats that go to ships that go to sea, when they get barnacles on the bottom of the vessel, they don't have to scrape them off. All they do is run the vessel into clear, pure water, and the barnacles fall off. So if you can get yourself into the clear light, if you can be still enough to feel you're at oneness with that reality that is more than you, and yet so intimate to you that you can't live, breathe, or think without it. That pure consciousness within. But that pure consciousness within is located in your heart. That's where the pure part is. And it's watching you. And as much as it can get through to you, it will. You're its special care for the incarnation, hoping that you will fall awake a little bit and feel that reality. It isn't a matter of thinking it. I've known people who have read thousands of books and have no more feeling to it than that hunk of wood right there. It's a feeling of love. And love is a subtle thing. And yet it's the easiest thing in the world. When you see a beautiful little child, your heart goes right out to them. Huh? When you see a bunch of kids that even give you trouble like I do in your classes, still there's moments when you find them beautiful, isn't there? All right. Find that part of you that recognizes that godliness everywhere, which is pure love. Or if you want to make it anthropomorphic, it represents some great teacher. But you have to do it for you. No one else can do it for you. And if you've taken somebody else's word for things and haven't tried it out in your living, that don't count. It's got to be an experience of yourself, or you actually feel it. More of our emotions are on the surface of our bodies normally than within, until we hit the big one, and then we feel it. It's just there. When you see a situation that's difficult and you're not even involved with it, you'll have enough feeling of empathy to send that love towards it so it'll create that harmony. And there is harmony in the universe. Not in our social structure, no. If you get out at night, you look up at the clear blue sky and see all the stars in their orbits, continuing those orbits for centuries. There is a law functioning. If you realize that winter, spring, summer, fall comes along very regularly every year, there's something of an eternal harmony underneath it all. And all we have to do is tune ourselves into that greater harmony that we've already got a hotline to it within each and every one of us. If we'll just be still and feel it. It's much more pleasant to feel love than it is hate. We can talk of love, we can associate it with just sex. That's still love, because it's the attraction of one to the other. But when you get to the point where that place in your heart is being attracted to Godhood, then you start feeling a universal part of it. And whoever they are, you try and let them feel your love. Send a feeling of love to them. And even if you meet some people that you think you're so much smarter that they're practically don't belong to your section, remember, every single one of them has the same thing within it. Even those cows, and I love to eat beef, every one of them has got that same spark that's coming through in its evolution. Except I'm one of the coarser ones. I'm not a vegetarian. I don't think that which you put in your mouth defileth you, but what cometh out. I guess that's pretty clear, isn't it? This isn't something that you have to go and have somebody tell you about, because you've already got it, but you're not using it. You say, oh, well, I'll be too soft if I look at things that way. Well, you wouldn't. Remember, there's even policemen, one in particular that I know of, that have that feeling of love that comes to them when they're dealing with people, even if they have to shoot them, because they're violently fighting against our social culture. We have to keep them in line. but they got a heart, a lot of them. They're not just deliberately cruel or putting everybody in one particular class. You always meet someone that causes that flash to come. That flash from inside, pure feeling of love. And that's the most important thing. Remember, of the vehicles that you each have, that if you just looked at your little finger alone and didn't use the rest of the fingers, that's about as much of your bodies as you're using at this level. Can you tune into this little part of yourself? This higher consciousness, this love for humanity. And you have to love humanity as a whole because you know there's only one behind it all, and I don't think it's a guy with a long white beard. I think it's a force. And I like those movies come out with May the Force be with you. And I hope the same thing, may the Force be with all of you. And every time I say Yafata, I'm thinking and feeling that. Because I'm kind of fumbly-bumbly yet, and if I can't feel it just by itself, I know that if I say the words and put my mind on the trip, that it will surrender to the higher part within me and give out love. Live love. And after all, I'm a pretty good recommendation even for the limited aspect that I represent. I'm 84 years old, and I haven't got any lumbago or rheumatism or anything like that. Huh? I must be doing something right. Can't be all wrong. It's working for me to that extent. And I think for as little as I understand it, that that's a very broad extent. I don't know whether any of you sitting in here will pay any attention to anything I have to say. And that don't make any difference because the seeds are being planted within you, a stimulation to that part of you. At least you met one old fogey once who told you what it was all about. Sure, we get back to this level of down here on earth and in these bodies, huh? Just an attraction of another person is what makes all our advertisement go. We never see any ugly women advertising anything. And we never seen any puny men like me on TV advertising anything. It's only the heroic figures that can cause, a little irritation of that part of our anatomy that is always pulling towards the opposite sex. But if you're going to have love, make it big. If you're going to have physical love, make it so that you have a higher aspiration, that you want to fall awake. And if both of you have got that feeling, the interest will be just as vital, male and female, huh? Come on. You got a chance. The idea of you coming here and listening to this old fossil who don't know a heck of a lot, but nevertheless I'm trying to share with you what I've dug out of it. I want you to get the feel of it. Sure, I put out a lot of words, and in one case I put out words for about 3 years. And then one of the customers that I had that was coming to the meetings, he called me up on the phone. And he said, well, this and this and this and this. I said, listen, what do you think I've been talking about for the last 5 years? He said, I know, but I didn't hear you. And that's the way it is mostly. We don't hear it. When we're quiet, maybe just before we go to sleep, or just after we wake up, and feel the glory that we are in ourselves and what we can open up to. What a wonderful thing. Sufis, when they first came to this country, had to have a separation of the various groups. This group, that group, the other group, and so forth. And they've now come to the conclusion that a Sufi is a Sufi regardless of which group he belongs to. And that's factual. And theosophy, some of the best theosophists in the world don't even know that the Theosophical Society exists. But they're living a life that is exemplifying those wonderful things that can be had. And all the Sufis and Theosophical dealers. And we've got Theosophical societies that they're strictly square. They're helping those who are fanatics in their particular line. But we got others maybe are open too much like we are. We're just wide open. But nevertheless, the founder of the Theosophical Society, HPB, said for you to realize, like the same thing that happens to you when you wake up in the morning and you say, I am. You know you are, because you're awake. Huh? And that's all you can say, I am. Huh? Because other than that, what you're wearing here are very limited tools of what you have within you that you could use. And you find them each in your own way. Some little event will occur to you. Or you'll see something. Grab it. If it's there for a second, and you feel that complete love flowing out. Keep it alive. Very alive. Sure, disciplines for that too are practices. And some of the practices are very fine. If they weren't fine for the people at the level they are, they wouldn't be doing them. But you, each one of you, are individuals at this level. So each one of you has to find the particular thing that will bring to you a broader concept of what it's all about. And it can't be much broader than it's all a oneness. So we're trying. So that, I don't know how many thousand people live in this town. This is just a mere handful, but it's a heck of a lot of people to pack into this room. But I'm trying to share with you, you know? I'm hooking you. I'm getting you karmically indebted. Then some other life when you come in and I'm down in the slums, it's your job to pull me out, see? Get the idea? You say, I don't know what there is about that guy, but what the hell, we better do something for him. And this particular life is very important. Because you have to meet life day by day. And there's no particular pattern that can be given to you that will explain each crisis you will meet as you go along. What would be better than the internal harmony of the oneness of God and the feeling of that love flowing out? See, if you live a certain way, you think, well, at the end of this, it's just going to all be over. And there's nothing else. It's just a blank. I'm done. That's not true. When a person slips out of this body, because the only thing that dies is the thing that you're wearing, the reality of you and your consciousness does not die. Find yourself on the astral plane with your same feelings that you had here. Just because you die don't give you the rights to a pair of wings or ride the lightning or whatever it is or shoot the sun. Huh? Come on. You gotta fall awake here. That's part of the deal. The only way we can escape the wheel of samsara is to realize the realities and the potential of the whole pattern of humanity. We've got a couple of rooms full of books, and we got 10 bookcases full of books in the basement. And I don't think in any year's time at the present deal that more than 15 or 20 books are taken out. But in days gone by, it was different. But now we're in a different age. If you want to read a book on theosophy, go back and look at them. When you find one you feel empathy for, borrow it. Take it home. Live with it for a couple of weeks. See what you get. But you see, you've got to find somebody that is written in such a way that it clicks with you. Then you get something out of it. Otherwise, you don't. But it was wonderful for you to come down here on the Sunday night and be here in all this bright light and not suffer for it. So you don't realize it, you're all on. See? You're all doing it. You're all hooked with the same thing I am, whether you know it or not. And how you react to it or take some of it away, it's entirely up to you. You can walk out of here and say, that guy Miller is as nuts as he can be. That's all right. I don't mind. You can't insult me. I'm too damn ignorant. Go ahead. That's okay with me. But what I have learned and I'm trying to use, I want to pass that on. Just as one person to another. I don't see any clairvoyant visions. I don't have some spirits come and visit me. I don't have somebody play a special kind of a music so I can go into a trance. Nothing like that. I'm just taking it from here. And my own deep thinking and my own deep feeling. And I've found out that love works out best. And there isn't anybody that's nearly as low as you might consider them to be. You go down the other side of Market Street and look at some of those people or some of those guys that are hooked on a wine bottle and say, oh, too bad, he's got a fixation. We never stop to think of whatever fixation we've got that's holding us in the particular position we're in and keeping us from getting somewhere. Huh? Think it over. But you see, where I want to get is not somewhere. I want to get nowhere. I want to get to the reality itself, where it all comes from. And I find one way of going with love, that you always have that effervescence, and you always have that feeling that the great masters that came and understood that could feel that way towards other people. That would all help us to grow. Love is the most wonderful thing. If we didn't have love, somebody would invent it. But you know, it doesn't have to be invented. It just comes out naturally. You want to ask some questions on love? Go ahead and I will stagger through it. Who wants to ask me some question here? Put me on the spot. Be my guest. Okay, Bob.
So, if you feel like, oh, I really love someone, and it's really feels so real, and then times pass, things change, something happens, I don't feel that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's...
You want to know about that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. You were in love with an ideal. You were in love with what you thought was there. But you hadn't examined the other person or hadn't let the other person come out enough to you so you knew the kind of thoughts and feelings that they had so that a harmonious union could continue. So therefore, that part of you just shut off. Cold. Get better acquainted first. Be friends. Good friends. Deep friends. Find out where they want to go in life. See if their higher views and their higher ambitions are the same as yours. Then maybe you can get together in a oneness. Truly a oneness. Because it'll be like one spiritual being then moving on through this level, and what a wonderful thing it is. I think I'm lucky that way, because my wife is just as crazy as me. See, we didn't particularly get married for sex, although I'm not opposed to it, you know. Although there may be frost on the roof, there's still fire in the basement, you know. But whatever we go up against, we can hang it up and look at it. And we both are working for the same thing. We both want to fall awake in this lifetime, to become aware enough of the other, so that we can be of more service to people. Help. Okay? So, this is what we're going through. I don't know whether we're going to make it this time or a half a dozen lifetimes or not from now, but it don't make any difference. I'm not going to stop. Just because I get shuffled out of a body isn't going to change my view of being a bodhisattva someday. Helping everybody. But I'm very glad that the pier made me a Madzu. Because I am a Madzu. The Palace of Fine Arts, and he'd come in. I said, hello? He said, hello, Joe. I said, look, can the Chisti order use another Madzu? He said, yes. Well, I said, I'd like to have you make me a Madzu. He said, make you a Madzu? You're one now. He said, sure, I'll accept you, but unofficially. So he did. Then, Moinadine, his group. I went to the meetings, Jamiats, and nobody's supposed to go to Jamiats except those that hold a position and rank in the group. And so I said, they asked me a question. I said, well, I'm here, but I don't have any right to answer it. I haven't gone through these various steps. And so the secretary spoke up and says, you've gone through the 11th degree. You're one of those people that teaches other people. God bless. So, it was a funny thing. Because neither to the peer, nor to the sirs, did I ever join them. But I was one. That's all. I am one. And it takes one to know one. So I guess Moinadine and the peer both figured I was one. So I am one. Fair enough? That's one way to do it. Then I had a guy that he said, he came to one of my talks, and he said, well, Swami Joe, Chidanandaji. I said, what do you mean, Swami Joe? Oh, he said, you've been a Swami for years. I said, thank you very much. So I became a Swami. Then there was a lady that had a little Christian order, and she said to me, you're really a minister. So she says, I'm making you a minister in my particular religious order, and she did. So, must have been something going at some of the time that pushed me in this direction, and I love it. But I never claimed to be a Reverend so-and-so or a Swami so-and-so. But I am very proud of my title as the one that Pierre gave me, Madzu. I think I fit that. A Madzup is a guy that's drunk on love. And drunk on love of people, and you don't know what to expect from them or when to expect it. And that's been my life. And I loved it very much. Any more questions on love? Who wants to give one? Where are you? My God, you're on another world. Come around the corner. Let me see your face.
Okay. It's me.
Oh, now you can go back in the other room if you want. But ask me the question.
I was raised Catholic. It's too much like the confessional talking to the wall.
I see. Well, give me a nasty question then. It don't make no difference.
Okay. It's easy to listen to you, and it's easy to get the feeling for what you're saying and expressing, and so what I was realizing when I was sitting in there is that sometimes it's hard. It's not easy like it feels like it is when it's here and when you're talking to us. We don't have to do anything except listen.
But you do have times when you have that feeling, don't you?
Right, but what's the story on when it's difficult or when you feel like you should be, you know that if you could feel that love or relax or something, that it would really be a lot better for everyone involved and you would certainly enjoy it more. What's the story on when it gets hard?
Well, I think,
Difficult.
geez, I could say something about that, but I won't. A bit of research into your consciousness of why you can't get into that state, commonly called in psychology retrospection, would show you why you were in that state. And that if you wished to, you could drop it or nullify it so you could be in that state.
So you don't have to think about it then, but think about it after? That's what you're saying?
Well, if you could think about it then, it makes it a lot quicker.
Well, I don't like to think about it.
I know, you get PO'd at something and you don't want to shift gears, huh?
No, but my mind and I don't know. I can't figure out that state really with my mind. I know when it's on, when it's happening.
Well,
But
I'll tell you.
my mind has been useless as far as trying.
I'll tell you one way that would help you. If you would just, if you could, meditate. And by meditating, I don't mean following any particular formula, but just be still. Completely still as far as your lower mind is concerned. And the higher mind will give you the answer in a feeling 9 times out of 10 rather than words. But just think of what happened that made it that way and then just drop it. Try to drop it if you can. Just be still. Be lazy. Be halfway asleep, but don't go to sleep. And then probably it'll come. Okay? But that other part, you left me an awful opportunity, but I won't use it. Any more questions?
One more.
Yes, sir.
What is love in the spiritual sense? I'm just interested.
Love in the spiritual sense is the same as love in the physical sense, except it goes up grade after grade and you've still got it all.
I'm just sort of interested.
But it isn't, love isn't something
I know it's
that
not
you
the
impose on anyone. It has to be a meeting between the souls of the people, which they work out at least on the lower level through their feelings and thoughts about what they want to be, whether they want to go on with this or not. But as far as your feeling of love to someone other than that, but if it is for a formal association of one physical person with another, you can have that, and you're just as good as any animal that ever walked. Or you can have that and be a god, depending on where you live. More question? Yes? This will be tricky, I know. She's so damn smart. Okay.
I'm not any more smart about love than anybody else is. It's not an area that, as Lois was saying, it's not an area that's really open to smartness. But what my question has to do with is, I understand the feeling of essential love when you respect the other person's essential being and you see that's the same as your essential being. And that love, really, you can have that love for anybody. You can have that love for E and me. You can have that love for Hitler because you're seen as a human being and that's their essential spark.
You're looking at that essential
Absolute
spark,
love.
but then you can have love.
That's right.
Right.
But on the relative level, we're inhabiting a world with people with a lot of different personalities. People have a lot of different programs in life about what they want to do or what they think they don't want to do, and all these trips of personal interaction. So I'm just trying. How do you bring those two things? It's like you can have that quality of essential love for somebody, and yet you still, because you have personality differences, or maybe it's like you have that essential love for someone and there's no physical attraction, there's no chemistry. or the other way around. There's chemistry, physical attraction, personality, compatibility, but it's hard to feel that essential spark. I don't understand how to.
I
set
think
down all those
if two
levels.
people wanted to get along for any length of time, they'd have to do a lot of searching in each other. Get it all out, worked out. Get it worked out before they have a marriage, and there wouldn't be as many divorces as there are. So if you find someone that's got everything that's going for you, if necessary, get them down and beat them until they tell you where the hell they want to go, and if you don't think that's the right way, try to straighten them out. That's what I would do. If I were you. I don't know how he'd like it. A lot of people have tried it and